Well, hello there. It is March 29th, 2024, and I'm about to take Dark Horse on a road trip for the first time. Let's see how we wind up. Hello there, and welcome to my brand new channel, EVs North of 60, and welcome to my premiere video. This is a really exciting one because I want to show you just how it is now possible to drive through all the way to Alaska without having to charge overnight anywhere. We've got some wonderful new developments, a lot of wonderful charging capability, and I want to share my experience as an EV owner and driver and enthusiast in one of the most remote parts of Canada, and to show that owning an EV, driving an EV is not necessarily as scary as many might have you believe. So buckle in, we are off for a ride. So let me tell you a little bit about myself as we get started here. I live in one of the most beautiful places in the world, Whitehorse, Yukon. Been here for about, 24 years or so, and I've enjoyed it tremendously. You can see it's pretty remote. We're above the 60th parallel, above British Columbia. We're actually quite a bit west of Vancouver. Vancouver is like down in this area here, and we're way up here. And travel is not always easy. Our road network is not always the most fantastic. I've just cut down on the filtering here in PlugShare to give an idea. But you can see within the Yukon, we're actually pretty good for our charging network. This has been pretty fantastic. The government here has been very EV friendly. We have a good rebate here for a new or used purchase, or even if you buy a used one elsewhere and have it shipped up, they will assist with the expense on that. And each of these pins here represents a high-speed charger in a community in the Yukon that actually we can even do a little bit better than that. There's a couple more. Every road-connected community in the Yukon has a high-speed DC fast charger, and has for years, and it enables all kinds of really cool travel within the community. The trouble with that is in trying to go elsewhere, in trying to go south. There's this whole region of northern British Columbia where you can see there's the odd green one, and you can see there's these fast chargers here, and one that's about to open soon. These literally lit up just a few days ago, and until then, before then, trying to travel through this whole area here was extremely difficult. And this is not easy travel either. This is all very mountainous through here. So essentially, as great as it's been to have all of these fast chargers in the Yukon, we were essentially an island. It's really easy to travel within, but going elsewhere got to be a bit of a problem. So the car that I have right now is a 2023 Ford Mustang Mach-E. I have nicknamed it Dark Horse, which has offended some purists online, but I make no apologies. I was able to get the vanity plate for it, and I'm honestly quite thrilled. And when I first got the car, my very first road trip was from Whitehorse down through here, down through Marsh Lake. I did have a charging stop here because I was concerned, and went all the way. There's a highway down here, all the way down to Atlin. And I was a little bit nervous when I took that trip because there is no place to charge in Atlin, or there's no public charging available. I mean, anybody with electricity, I could plug in if I could convince them to. But if I needed a full charge, it would be literally days to go off a 110 volt. So I felt like I was taking a little bit of a risk. And as it turned out, I had nothing to worry about, because having charged at Marsh Lake here, I was easily able to make it all the way down and all the way back, and I didn't even have to charge at Marsh Lake on the way back. I was able to get all the way home. So that was a great trip. It was lots of fun. And later on, this past June and July, I actually made two pretty epic trips west of town. The Kluane National Park is, by the way, an amazingly beautiful place, and is home to Canada's tallest mountain, Mount Logan. You can't see it from the highway, unfortunately, but you know, it is a beautiful mountain range, and definitely worth a visit if you ever make it up here. And now, if you drive an EV, I have some news. That's getting to be a lot easier to do. You know, you drive up around here, there's a charging stop at Burwash Landing, Beaver Creek. I will say these Burwash and Beaver Creek, because they're small towns, they're on isolated grids. The government only provided a small amount of charging in those locations. They're only 25 kilowatt chargers. So, but yeah, we go here, we go here, we go here, and then you get into Alaska, and you've got the town of Tok. You kind of have to stop there, whether you're going, if you head up in this direction, that takes you towards Fairbanks, and if you take this direction, as I did, it takes you down to the, I was headed to Wasilla, so I was headed down to kind of the Anchorage-ish area. So, you know, you head down here, you head to Glen Allen. From Glen Allen, that gets you pretty much the Palmer area right around in here. You can't quite see it behind the, well, let's shut that down. So, and that was the area. So that was an epic trip. I actually did that twice. I did it in mid-June, and then I did it again in early July. I had family moving to the area, and I was helping get ready for the move and get ready for everything else. So that was an adventure. EVs have not been that widely adopted in that region of Alaska yet. There are some. There's a pretty healthy Tesla community, and probably a surprising number of Cybertrucks now have been delivered to Alaskans. But there's only a couple of Tesla superchargers in Alaska, and not many CCS1 chargers for DC fast charging for anything other than Tesla. But they are there, they have got something, and the nice thing in that region of Alaska is that these two, Alyeska Tire and Chevrolet of Wasilla, those are actually free. You can charge for free there. So when I was over there for, between the two trips, probably about almost a couple of weeks total anyway. And I was able to do all my charging essentially for free. So that was a lot of fun. So it is possible to do these trips. It is possible to do the road tripping. I will confess, I kind of mismanaged my charging. On one of the trips, I tried to do a run all the way back straight to Whitehorse, and it took me about 19 hours, whereas with a combustion car, it probably would have only taken about 14. But because I mismanaged my charging, I could have done it quicker. The big problem in Alaska right now traveling through is Tok. There is no public charger really available there. not one that you can just drive up to. There's a guy with the Department of Transportation Alaska who charges electric school buses in the area, and if you can reach him on email and arrange a time, you can get on his 25 kilowatt charger. Otherwise, you have to go to a campground or possibly a motel that allows plug-ins. I mean, they all do because everybody has block heaters there in the winter, but even so, it's a little janky, and that is definitely a sore spot for travel in Alaska right now, and I really look forward to seeing them make a change on that. But the real news, and the reason that I am doing this weekend, is because this huge hole in northern BC has now been filled literally within the past week in such a way that you no longer have to do an overnight charging stop. That used to be absolutely mandatory. There was no way to do it. So we are now kind of connected to the rest of civilization. And I just wanted to do a little bit of notation on there. My next road trip, I'm planning in a few days. I am going to be driving down all the way to the Vancouver area. The Everything Electric show is happening the weekend after Labor Day, and I am absolutely thrilled to be able to do that trip without having to do an overnight stop. So, you know, I just want to demonstrate how that's going to work. Now, traveling through the southern half of BC is actually super easy. As long as you get to Prince George, you can go down the Caribou Highway. You can, if you want, head over to Kamloops and get on the Coquihalla and get in, or you can just travel down the number one. It's not that long a distance, though it is kind of a mountainous, treacherous road. I don't know that I'd want to do it in heavy snowfall, for instance. But the point is, once you get to this part of BC, there are a lot of chargers on the route. So the challenge for us here in the far north, if we want to make that trip all the way down the length of BC, we would have to get through here. Now, Highway 37 is one of the major routes. It's not heavily traveled, and it's not up to, say, freeway conditions by any stretch. It is all two-lane. There's a portion of it that's up at the top that's just chip sealed. It's rugged, we'll put it that way. And on this road, for about a year now, there has been a fast charger at Mesiadine Junction, and it's apparently a pretty decent one. It's a 200 kilowatt FreeWire boost charger. What FreeWire is, for those of you who may not know, is a very cool idea. It's an EV charger with a large battery backup, so that you can hook it up to a fairly typical power supply. That power supply will charge the battery, and then the battery will provide 200 kilowatts. Normally, you'd be lucky to max out at 10 kilowatts, but they don't expect EVs to be charging constantly, and in between the times that EVs are charging, that battery is charging back up. So if there's a lot of EV traffic through there, yes, you run the risk of having a slow charge, but that's a remote enough area that that's not terrifically likely. This Kluachan grocery store and cafe in Iskut, that just opened up probably about 2 months ago, and they had some reliability issues at first, but they have, it looks like they've done moderately well. Garbage charger took 6, okay. But for the most part, people are getting pretty decent throughput on there. So when I was first planning this trip a couple of months ago, I figured, okay, I'll probably go down there. When you're traveling from Whitehorse the first portion of the trip that you really have to take is along the Alaska Highway here to Teslin. You need a charging stop in Teslin, but it's a free 50 kilowatt charger. They won't be free forever. The government's already saying we may have enough EVs that it's time to start doing that. The Alaska Highway dips into BC here, comes up. You get to this junction here. However, to go south, you really need to carry on about another 20 kilometers to Watson Lake and hit the fast charger there. It's nominally a 50 kilowatt. I was there in July and not so much. I was getting more like 30, so I mean that's a bit of a long trip, and then you drive the 20 kilometers back and start heading down here. And it looks like we're going to have a new DC fast charger in Dease Lake really soon. It is under construction. This pic is from a couple of weeks ago, but it is very cool to see that we're going to have one at Dease Lake. Dease Lake is kind of the major center along Highway 37. And I had been hoping on hope that that might be ready for my trip when I leave on September 4th. It may be, it may not be, but I'm not too worried about it. And then come down here, charge at Iskut at their 200 kilowatt, charge at Mesdian Junction at theirs. And that's where it starts getting a little bit tricky. Because past Mesdian Junction, you come down to Katwanga, and it looks like there's lots of chargers all through here, right? The trouble is these are all slowish 50 kilowatt chargers, and I would need to hit at least a few of these before I could make it all the way to Prince George. Again, mountainous territory, a lot of elevation change. Can't count on being able to do it on just a couple of charges. And that's a lot of extra time. So I was absolutely enthralled to find out what was going on the Alaska Highway. Yes, this is the famous Alaska Highway that was built in 1942 to serve the U.S. military, to try to get military assets up into Alaska as quickly as possible, and has now been developed into really the major route south from here. And I know it really well because I used to drive truck on here years ago. So I'm very, very comfortable traveling on this highway, and I honestly know it just about as well as the back of my hand, maybe even a little bit better. And it's, I have to say, it is an amazing drive. It is absolutely beautiful if you ever get the chance to come up here. This is a fantastic route. So in the last, about a month ago, they opened up Prophet River. It's a small Aboriginal community about 100 kilometers south of Fort Nelson with 200 kilowatt fast chargers. And it looks like they're working pretty well. It is a new charger, so I mean there's always the chance that it may not work all that well. But still, it's great to have that there. When the previous furthest north one was really this mile 80 rest stop, and that was just a 50 kilowatt flow charger there. But this one at 101 is kind of a service area, saying it's under partial repair, but one of the CCS chargers is available now. But this has been open for a fair bit. And then from 101 up to Fort Nelson, we're looking at about 300 kilometers, 185 miles, which is doable. Even in rough weather, that's doable. And if you, for whatever reason, we're losing range, there's always the possibility of a stop in Prophet River. And for the most part, there's not a lot of elevation change on here. At Sickiny Chief, you definitely dip down into a canyon, and it's a pretty deep canyon. But aside from that, for the most part, this is all pretty reasonable travel, and you're not likely to suck too much of your range up on here. Now, this portion of the Alaska Highway from Fort Nelson up to Watson Lake is very mountainous, a lot of elevation change, a lot of very dramatic elevation change. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous piece of highway. I've driven it literally hundreds of times over the time that I was driving truck, and I never ever got tired of that trip. So it made me very happy to find out that we've got these opened literally just the other day. Atetsa River Lodge and Liard Hot Springs. Now, these are kind of interesting chargers that BC Hydro has deployed here. They came in a shipping container. You can see they've got, I would probably call that about 2 kilowatts of charging on the roof of solar. These are these are battery outlets, and they are recharged with natural gas, or pardon me, a propane powered combustion engine. I am just checking in with BC Hydro to find out if they get any charging at all from the solar panels on top, or if it's all from the propane powered unit. But regardless, they enable travel in an area where it would not be easily possible otherwise. And I would say if it involves some small scale emissions, particularly given that it's propane power and not diesel, it enables travel that would not be easily possible otherwise. So this is a pretty clever solution. And the nice thing about Liard Hot Springs is there is an actual hot spring there. It's beautiful. So, and it's walkable from, it's a bit of a walk. It's probably about 1.5 kilometers walk from where the charger is. But I know that when I go down, I'll be able to put my car on that charger and go for a dip in the hot springs. And I'm really looking forward to doing that. So here's the plan. I am going to be leaving Whitehorse at noon on Wednesday. Yes, I'm going to be working in the morning. And we're going to travel down. I haven't confirmed every single one of my charging stops, but I know for sure I'll be charging in Teslin. It dips down below there and comes back up. I'll be charging in Watson Lake. I will be charging at Liard Hot Springs, and that's going to be, you know, when you're doing a road trip, you kind of time your charges. Some charges don't have to be all that big. You have big charges and little charges. A little charge just gets you a short distance to the next charger. In this case, it's got to be a big charge because it's very mountainous territory. I don't know what kind of weather we're going to be looking at. And I've got nice hot springs to go soak in while I'm waiting for that charge. So I expect to be there maybe as long as 2 hours. So after that, down to Muncho Lake, Toad River, over to Fort Nelson. There is a new DC fast charger under construction in Fort Nelson right now. And it would be lovely to think that it will be available. I'm not seeing any developments on that. BC Hydro actually had this charger listed in their app as up and running a couple of days ago. And when I made mention of it online, it mysteriously disappeared from the app within like an hour. So I think they're monitoring things. But while there's no other fast charger in Fort Nelson, there are a couple of other public options. And the great thing there is that's a relatively small charge, because all I got to do from Fort Nelson, if I can't get a fast charge, is get down to Prophet River. And that's only about 120 kilometers. Again, fairly easy driving. So I expect to be able to do that. And then from Prophet River, whoop, let's do that. Once I've charged at Prophet River, I should be able to make it fairly easily all the way down to Fort St. John. There is a very fast charger in Fort St. John already available. They just opened it again just recently. Like BC Hydro has done just amazing work. They've done these new chargers. Let's see, in this region, we've got 2 new fast chargers that just lit up, I think, yesterday in Dawson Creek. I don't have to go through Dawson Creek. I'll kind of deep down here to 97 this way, but we've got a new fast charger at Canadian Tire in Fort St. John. We've got a new fast charger at 101. We do have another charger at Pink Mountain. It is much like the ones at Tetsa River Lodge and Liard Hot Springs. It's another one of those ones that's deployed out of a shipping container and runs off propane. I would call that kind of an emergency backup. Again, in bad conditions, that's a good one to pull into to get a charge if it's like majorly cold, snowstorm, whatever, just to make sure that you're not going to run short. Prophet River just opened up, I think maybe a month ago. We're about to see a new one in Fort Nelson. I think if it was listed on the app, there's at least an outside chance that might actually be ready by the time I'm traveling through there on the 4th. This is brand new. This is brand new. We do have low speed charging at Muncho Lake. This one here used to be kind of the only option along, and they do have a J1772. It's only 8 kilowatts is pretty good. It's expensive. They run their electricity off diesel there, and if you're not a guest, they charge you like upwards of $90 for your charge there. And it's okay. I get why they're in the position of having to do that, but to have legitimate fast chargers at Liard and Tetsa is kind of amazing. So let's go back through our little count here. 2 in Dawson Creek, 1 in Fort St. John, new one at 101, new one at Pink Mountain, new one at Prophet River, new one at Fort Nelson that's about to open, new one at Tetsa River Lodge, new one at Liard Hot Springs, and then over on Highway 37, we've got this new one at Dees Lake. This is all strictly from BC Hydro. These other ones at Iskut and Mesdian Junction are EV Connect. They're different. These are EV Connect working with local organizations to get these established. So even so, you take a look at what BC Hydro has done here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because there's Dawson. And then we're just missing Prince George down at the bottom here. But we're also missing Chetwynd. You can't quite tell, but there's a pin right in behind this. That's a new one under construction. Hudson's Hope is under construction. So that's like 11, 12. I'm really hoping Chetwynd is in place by the time I'm traveling. May not be. Bear Lake, brand new, just lit up yesterday. And this is Powder King. It's a ski resort. I'm not expecting that to be available, but apparently it's in progress. But we are looking at just a massive number, upwards of 15 new DC fast chargers lighting up in just a matter of weeks along this region here. So I am incredibly grateful to BC Hydro for getting all of this done. And I am really, really looking forward to making use of these ones along the Alaska Highway and down to Prince George. And once I'm at Prince George, I'll be able to make it the rest of the way to Vancouver easy as pie. So this has been fun. I look forward to keeping you updated on this. My plan, by the way, these all of these container-based ones have Starlink internet access that will be open to whoever's charging there, and I will be able to do a live stream from each of these charging locations, and I look forward to doing that on the way down, and look forward to reporting back my final result.